eyes or anything, just so that I can send this round. So let's just revisit some basics of our mindfulness practice. So let's not try too hard sometimes and try and recreate possibly a previous experience we've had. Let's just try and exist in this moment. So first thing to do is to just make yourself comfortable, however that is for you this morning or at this point in time when you're deciding to enter this formal practice. So you can prop, you can have cushions and be in whatever position you find comfortable. And when you're as comfortable as you feel you can be, then just bring your eyes to a close. Let's just withdraw that visual sense and just revisit our comfort in this moment. So we might have a pain somewhere, and it's important that we don't, or that we catch ourselves in this moment if we're judging ourselves for having that pain, or if we think somehow we're wrong for having that pain, because we're not. We all have physical pain, whether it be constant or an echo of where we've had previous discomfort. And also we can have discomfort as well. And just know that during this practice, at any point you can readdress your actual physical comfort. If you need to shift position, that is absolutely fine. And let's just start by listening to the sounds and vibration that are happening in the room around us. So there might be a ticking of a clock. We might hear the room naturally moving. And then if we extend our hearing a little further outside of the environment or the room, let's listen for any vibrations or sounds in the distance. So they might come in the form of conversations, distant radios, people going about their day, or traffic. And let's just try to not get involved in the narrative. So if you find ourselves suddenly distracted by the narrative, and we have got on to hearing somebody and then thinking about the conversation we had with so-and-so yesterday, then let's not berate ourselves or think that we've done anything wrong. Let's just bring ourselves back to the hearing scape, and then just bring ourselves back into the room, to those noises, And then just bring our sense of hearing further in this moment, to sounds that are happening around the body. So we might be aware of our clothes, and we might be aware of our heartbeat or our breath, as we bring that sense of hearing closer into the body. And if we tune into the noise of the breath, we might find that suddenly we start breathing a bit harder and a bit quicker, and that's perfectly natural. Just try and see if on the exhale, as the breath leaves the body, you can just feel a connection with the surface that's supporting you. So the chair, the cushions, any blankets. And just feel as if we're just completely supported by that surface underneath us. And we might get distracted by outside noises, and again by thoughts. Let's just bring ourselves back to that sense of exhaling and heaviness and dropping. And it doesn't matter how many times you're distracted, or if you've been distracted for several minutes. We're just refraining from having any opinion on ourselves or the topic that's pulled us away, or the sensation or the noise, because it might be an itch. We might have a cough. We might sneeze. All of these bodily functions are perfectly natural. And like the breath speeding up when it's put under a spotlight, sometimes we just get so aware of the distractions. And that's a good thing, because then we can consciously just bring ourselves back just to that exhale. And if it feels comfortable, either inside or outside the body, let's just make contact on the exhale with our shoulders and our shoulder blades, and just see if we're holding any tension. And we almost don't need to think about what to do with the tension. Let's just be aware, and then just see if we can just lean into that exhale. And just come down to our hips as well. And just inquire as to how they're feeling. So if we've got tension there, and tension can come in many different ways. So it might be that they feel different to one another. Or it might be that they feel stiff. Again, there's wear and tear in this area. Bodies age, that's what they do. We're just trying with that exhale in this moment just to bring some kindness and compassion to our being. To our physical being, and we can just scan down the legs and the thighs and the knees, the calves, all those intricate calf muscles, down to the ankle, the heels and the feet. And just feel how maybe the socks or the slippers support our feet, the balls of each foot. Do they feel different to one another? And how do they feel in relation to their closeness or their touching of what we call the floor? So the support and surface underneath them. So maybe we're quite short, and maybe we're not actually making physical contact with the surface, and that's okay. The balls of the feet are still the closest, and we might have our legs crossed, our ankles crossed, and that's okay too. And let's just see if we can make contact with that support, just for the fun of it, just because we're here. It's just the exhale with the surface underneath in this moment, just feeling ourselves completely supported. And let's just see if in our mind's eye we can see the floor and the surface that supports us as grass. Beautiful, rich green. And maybe the grass is quite short around our feet, and then it gets longer as you look at it. And as you bring your head up, you find that you're standing in the middle of a meadow. And there's perfect timing in this moment. And off to one side, there's some beautiful wildflowers, lots of different colours, so yellows and blues and red poppies. And there's even some long daisies. And you can see butterflies just rotating around the flowers. And maybe a soft breeze makes you aware of the noise of the meadow as it gently moves. Gently moves the flowers and the long grass. And with no particular destination, let's just see if we can take a walk around the meadow. And let's put our hands out and see if we can just touch the tips of the long grass. And the flowers and the butterflies. They're just coming and going and moving, and not in the slightest bit disturbed by your watching or your presence. And the grass just bends and yields beneath your feet. And when you take the next step, the grass that you leave behind just bounces back, just unfolds. And the new grass that you step forward or backwards onto just accepts your presence. And it just feels very tranquil. And just take a couple of minutes just to have a further look around and just see what's in your meadow. So you can have anything you want here. And if you find that there's some intrusion from logic or from maybe thoughts that have decided to surface, then don't judge yourself for this either. Know that these sorts of thoughts are completely natural. We just don't talk about them. And that you can just turn direction. Just turn back to the butterflies and the wildflowers. knowing that those dark thoughts, clouds, don't need to take up the whole view. And they also don't have any control or power over you. And that's the same with all thoughts. You are not your thoughts. And this mindfulness practice is just a place where you can just expand yourself. And you can just say goodbye to the meadow, and as quickly as the meadow appeared in the imagination, in the mind's eye, you can feel your feet close to the surface, to the carpet, in the shoes, with the socks, back in the room, everything completely unchanged. And just imagine the room that you're still in and you've always been in. Maybe the colours of the books or the plants. Finding maybe the colours of your clothes. And just feeling that surface underneath you still supporting you. And then just feeling those points of connection coming back to the body. Just from the bottom, from the balls of each foot, and the heels, the ankles, revisiting the calf muscles, all those intricate muscles, the back of the knees, and the back of the thighs, the sitting bones, the lower back, and just check in again with those shoulders and shoulder blades, the back of the head and the very top of the head. Just being aware totally of where you are now, just knowing that it's time for this formal practice to end, and that you are in the room taking some movement in the extremities. So maybe just contracting some muscles of the hands and then mirroring that in the feet. Stretching if you can, if it's not too painful. It doesn't matter what it looks like to anyone else, it's what stretching is for you. And then knowing that you've already pictured yourself back in the room. So when you open your eyes now with that downward gaze, there are no surprises, unless you have an animal that's staring at you. But that there are no surprises, and that everything is still the same as when you closed your eyes. Just taking that time, your own time, just to come back. And I'm just going to turn the recording off, so just to make you aware that you're going to hear that voice.